sure you guys are all familiar with this. This is from out from under the boat. I went sailing yesterday and launched right from the beach, and I've done this probably 4 or 5 times, and each time I do it, I ground the boat a little bit because I have to run the trolley back up and forth the beach, so sand gets into the auto baler underneath compartments and prevents the mechanism sometime from closing. So when I get back, I think, oh my gosh, I broke the auto baler again, when really all I had were some sand or some shells or something inside. So something to think about. If that's what happens to you, don't take the whole thing out and try to replace it, because then you have to get your silicone 5200 or whatever it's called. But yeah, we're going to show you how to install these. I'm going to show you exactly what to think about when you're buying these little springs inside. You have 3 options. You have rubber kind of straps that are standard. They come with the auto baler. You have a metal kind of spring back too, which is pretty cool. I got that from Rooster. Works really good. It's a stainless steel metal spring. And then the third option are what looks like green and red paper clips on either side here. So I've tried them all 3, and I can just tell you guys from experience. Check the links in the descriptions below for kind of which route you want to take. I pulled it out. Essentially it's just one screw. Comes out real easy. Once you have it out, or you're going to need to go under and take out your baler plug as well. Once you pull that out, you can slide this out. Once you get it out, go ahead and clean it out. We take it on the beach all the time, so we have a lot of sand, we have a lot of shells and things that can get up under there. This is kind of like a wire brush, but it's just a bristle brush. It's not going to scratch anything. Get all the sand out of here. If you need to throw some water in there, great, but whatever you have in there, it's going to prevent it from sealing. You want to get it out of there. Okay, cool. You're going to figure out your spring situation. You're either going to go with the stainless steel plate, you're either going to go with the kind of the green and red paper clips, or you're just going to go with the rubber band style. You're also going to need some 5200. This is essentially for deck hulls, through fittings, or through hulls, things like that. It's not meant to come off. Just keep that in mind. There's a 4200 that a lot of people will use as well. But this is kind of my route. It's pretty easy, guys. All you want to do is take it once you've cleaned it all out. The new ones are going to come with this little kind of sealer here, like that. So this will go inside. You'll slide that right back in. The auto baler. This will actually go on top like so. I'm going to use the same one I had because I don't have another one. And we'll make sure that's sealed properly. So we're going to slide the auto baler plug in place. I like to do it when it's closed, so if you can, try to make sure it's closed. Make sure you're right on top of the hole. A lot of times you can look right down in it and see it. And then we'll go ahead and get the screw. Now if you're changing this, say your springs went bad or rubber bands went bad and you pulled this out, you're probably going to have some gunk or some 42 or 5200 on your nail, so make sure you clean all that off as well. So you get some new fresh sealant. I'm going to slide this in here like so. I like to just douse the screw in it, and a lot of times when you screw that forward, it'll actually push that seal all the way up too. So we'll give it a little squeeze, get some out here. There you go, just cover it. That's all you need, honestly. And then once that's in there, should be all the sealant you need. This stuff's pretty nasty stuff, so make sure you have gloves. Make sure you try not to get it on anything too, and if you do, that's okay. Just wipe it up quickly before it dries. If it dries, you are SOL. It takes a lot of time and effort to get off, so make sure when you're going down, your screw's straight. I almost made this problem the other day. And the idea here is to get this flush with the deck, because any type of friction is going to slow you down. And I wouldn't recommend using an electronic drill. It's too much. You might strip it. You don't want to do that. So you'll get down to the end there till you start to feel some give. And don't overturn it, or over tighten it, but make sure it's in there. And that's pretty flush. There's a little bit, but we're pretty good. Now I had another one where I had to bend it, because all it is plastic. So if you bend it one way and then sink it down in there, because once you go real tight on this, it tends to bore out the other sides. So that was the way I found around that. So if you find that you're not getting a nice even seal across, that's probably the problem. You probably should change your auto baler. Something happened, you probably got a strap underneath, or you were sliding it up on something and it caught. Or you can try to bend it back. I think we're good, guys. Other than just have to replace the auto baler plug, which you guys know how to do. You just slide this on. A lot of times if I take a needle nose plier, hold the wire and push this on. Let that dry 24 hours. Don't even think about getting her wet. I'm taking her out tomorrow, so that's why we're doing it today. But that's the last of the projects. But hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. We're going to be installing Telltales. We're going to talk about what you want to think about when installing Telltales, what types of Telltales are on the market, the different measurements associated with the different sails. So a radial sail, you're going to place Telltales differently on the sail than you would a full rig sail based on the airflow over the sail. And then do you want to go with yarn or ribbon? One of the big things about ribbon, they're fantastic in light wind air, but the problem is if you get them wet, they stick to the sail and then they stop doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is telling you where the wind's coming from and how to think about wind direction and if you should tack or fall off the wind and things like that. I went with the cotton version. These are the most recommended from what I'm hearing. They dry quickly, they don't get hung up on anything really, on the creases of the sail. This pack I got from West Coast Sailing comes with 14 Telltales, 8 inches long. They come with 7 red, 7 green, with the adhesive discs on the back. What's really nice about that is if they do get hung up on something, say you capsize and there's another boat in the water with you, or you turtle and it gets hung up, it won't rip the sail, it'll just rip the Telltale off the sail, and then you can just easily replace it. But we're going to do 2 on the starboard side, 2 on the port side, and show you kind of top down, looking down, how to install these on a new radial sail. I just bought a radial sail from West Coast Sailing. They do not come with Telltales, so you have to order these additionally. So yeah, let's get started. You definitely have the option of green or red. I'm gonna do red on both sides because it's just a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more visible to me on the water than green would be, but totally up to you. And these are great. Look like the sail, honestly. And that just goes over the tip. So the first thing we want to do is measure. Now radial, full rig, and 4.7 are all going to be different measurements because the size of the sail is different. This is a radial sail, so we're going to measure 31 up, 20 inches in, 53 up, and 20 inches in. So let's do the first one, 31 up. You want to do it from the foot of the sail, and then 21 inches in. So let's do 31 up, which is here. I'm going to go 20 inches in. Just below that crease. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as such. All right, next one's going to be 53 inches up, and again 20 inches in. So let's go 53 up from the foot of the sail. Okay, 53, and then we're going to go 20 from there. And I'd like to stick along the crease if you could. So we're going 20 inches in. It's right there. It's just above the number. We'll go ahead and mark that there. Here you have it. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna have to do the other side too. But you don't want to have them on the same track because you read the Telltale from the opposite side. So you definitely want to place them one down or one up so they don't overlap. And make sure they're going straight back. And there you go. That's one done. Let's do this one. Make sure the Telltale's headed to the back of the sail. Release. Make sure you got them same has the crease. Let's go ahead and flip the sail over. You're pretty much done with measurements. It's just about going kind of up or down from the measurements you just made. So like we just said, you never want to overlap them. You always want to put them a little bit lower or a little bit higher so you can see the one on the other side of the sail. So I think for our purposes, we're going to go just below. Just below. And that's it. Kind of wind indicators and the separate options you have. So let's go see. We have two wind indicators here. One is the Little Hawk MK2 wind indicator, which is the original one I purchased. It's a really nice wind indicator. If you're just looking to get something cheap, get something on your boat, this is probably your best source. And then this is your cvane wind indicator. This is the one used by a lot of pros out there. It's phenomenal. Cvane is meant to essentially deflect other people's main sheets. At the start of any race, you're going to find that you're going to be in close quarters with other sailboats. So a lot of times what happens is you get snagged up on their main sheets. And this is designed to where that never happens. It just deflects it. So as they come across and it just pulls it right off, which is phenomenal. You may have to readjust it at the race, after the race, if it does do that, but at least it won't pull the wind indicator off entirely. Whereas the MK2, it will. If that gets snagged, you're SOL. It's gonna yank that off, it's gonna break it, and you're done. Not only at the start, but I would say at the leeward mark as well. If you're going around, you know, any of the marks and you have, somebody has room on you, so you're gonna kind of clip the back end of them, you might get hung up on the back of their main sheet. So something to think about when you're buying wind indicators. I would say the cvane's the way to go. It's $40, so it's quite expensive, but it's worth it. But it's very fragile too. I've had some friends buy it and it broke on them the same day. So if you don't protect it, it will break. It does come with this really nifty tube, if you will, to protect it. Highly recommend you put it in here and keep it in here when you're not using it. Yeah, the cvane's the way to go. Check the links in the description below if you were interested in buying. Again, I got these from West Coast Sailing, but you can pretty much kind of look online. There's 7 or 8 different people within the United States anyways that will offer this. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be talking about inspection ports. Could be a number of various reasons why you wanted to put one of these into your Laser sailboat, or a place to put your water bottles, food, things like that, to where, you know, instead of having them in your life jacket, instead of having them kind of in and around the boat, you have a kind of a nice protected place to put all your stuff. There's different sizes of inspection ports. This is actually a 4-inch inspection port. You can do 4, 5, 6-inch. When you really look at it, you can fit just about anything inside here. So highly recommend one of these if you're thinking about, you know, additional storage ideas. It's been one of my biggest headaches, right? If you don't have a coach boat out on the water, you really don't have any way to refill your water or get food out there, right? And you're out there for a solid 6-7 hours sometimes, from 9 in the morning all the way till 4 sometimes. So you want to order the inspection port, you want to order the bag, and then you also want to order your nails. We're going to walk you guys through that. We're going to talk about everything that you need as far as the different products associated with this project. I'm going to lay it out as far as pricing. I'm going to give you guys all the links in the description below, so check all that stuff. Let's just quickly talk about what you're going to need. This is a hole dozer, Milwaukee hole dozer. A lot of people will use a jigsaw as well. 3M. This is the 5200 fast cure. You could get slow cure, just depends on how much time you have in your hands. And this is 3 ounces. I think I can get the job done with this. It's probably plenty. I think the first thing we need to do is kind of draw out our template. So we're going to need to cut a 4-inch hole. I would recommend maybe a little smaller just so it fits snug in there and it's not loose, but I think it'll be okay. Again, your hole saw is pretty perfect this far. It just goes on the inside of that lip, which is what we want. You will need to pick and figure out, hey, what side do I want to do it? Do you want to do left side or right side? I think we're in a good spot right there. We're just going to trace around the outside. One consistent line all the way around. Essentially what we're going to do is go right in the middle of that hole. The only caveat here I would say is just to make sure you drill parallel to the boat. Don't go parallel down because you're going to do an uneven circle. So at this actually has a little slanting upward. So just make sure you do the same with your drill. Try to get right in the middle there. Test here, see if this fits snugly inside. It does not. It is a little too small, which is good, which is what you want, because you want a tight fit. What we'll do is take a Dremel and just widen it out a bit. Let's do that. You can always do more, you can never go backwards, so. Ooh, that's pretty close. And that's pretty snug. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Perfect, so we'll pop this out. Before we apply, is just clean the area a bit. Fiberglass solvent, 202. You can see that. Just clean the outside, nice. Anything that's there when you try to seal it, that's going to prevent it from sealing. I think we're ready for 3M caulking. So what we want to do is just apply a bead, a consistent bead, all the way around the edge. And I would not hesitate to go overboard. We do not want to have this to where it's not sealing properly. I think that's plenty. I don't think we're going to need more than that. And you don't want to get this stuff on the hull. But again, if you do, that's okay. You just need to clean it up and do it quickly. One thing to remember here too is don't screw the screws completely tight. You want to wait till it dries a little bit, because what will happen is you'll squeeze the 3M caulking out and it won't seal properly. Alright, you guys, we are day 2 of inspection port. All we have to do is drill pilot holes and then go ahead and screw in the screws. It's a 6-pack screw, so essentially what you're going to need. They do not come with the inspection port, so you got to order these separately, so don't forget. We have a 1/8 inch drill bit. Your drill bit is going to be a little bit smaller than the screw. We'll go ahead and start drilling the pilot holes. Essentially you just want to cover the entire screw. So what I'd like to do is just put the screw inside, poke it in, and just douse the outside of it. I would not recommend using a electronic drill. I don't want to strip it. It's fiberglass, you only get one shot at it. What I like to do is kind of a soft, get them all in, and then tighten them all down together, because you don't want to tighten one side down before you tighten all the others. And I would almost do a star pattern as well, and that way you have consistency. Okay, and we're going to go all the way around. We're going to do all 5 of them.
So we have them all in, but they haven't been tightened. So what we're gonna do is a star pattern. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around. So let's start with this one here, make sure it's tight. And don't over tighten it. You don't wanna strip it, right? When you start to feel some pushback. Yeah, that's good. You can hear the fiberglass. When you start to hear that, know that that's pushing it to the limit. Pop this bad boy in, put it to the test. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is such a big deal. When you're out there and you need water and food and your phone, or you want to listen to music or whatever, now you can. I mean, this just opens up a lot of opportunity. It seems like something so small, but if you've been out there in those regattas, it's nice to have a little additional storage on board. This goes on top. I think the next thing to do is take it out in the water and do a little water test, see if it's sealed up tightly and nothing's getting in. New inspection port. In the comments below if you guys have any questions. Let me know if you'd have done anything differently. And she's exhausted. She worked really hard on this project. Me and Bailey will see you next time. Now, if you're planning on going to a regatta or even just down to your local launch area, you're gonna need some sort of transportation to easily and reliably get you and your laser there. Now, there's several transportation options available to you, and we're gonna talk through each and figure out which one is gonna be the best for you in your situation. So the first and most obvious answer is to put the laser on top of your car. It's what a lot of people do when I go to events. This is what's kind of the most common thing. A couple pros and cons to that, right? You're able to not have to deal with a trailer, obviously, when you're there. The biggest con, I think, of putting it on top of your car, you lose the option for additional cargo space. What I absolutely love about this bit on top is just being able to throw in my life jacket, hiking pants, anything that's wet during the day. Usually the regattas are a couple days, sometimes 3 to 4 days, and the last thing you want is wet, stinky clothes in your car for the event. So it's nice to be able to just throw it up here and close this lid and be good.
Here's a time lapse of what it looks like if you were to utilize this type of single laser trailer. As you can see, I'm able to offload it by myself, but it's a long process. And I'm also worried that I may be warping the hull over time when I put all this weight on one side. I also have to be really careful that I don't slide the boat on the auto baler and get it caught on those wooden crossbars, or I risk bending it, or worse, breaking it, and I'll have to change it out. If you're interested in how to do that, click the link at the top for another helpful video on changing your laser auto baler and which springs are the best to use.
Now, if you decide to go with the trailer option, you will need to have a hitch on your vehicle and have the capacity to carry at least 2,000 pounds or more. I have my trailer hooked up to an all-wheel drive Ford Escape SUV with 2,000 pound towing capacity. And this trailer is a model ECK12. It's a Continental trailer with a length of 17 feet and width of 72 inches. This one is customized to 14 feet, so I can fit it in my garage and get out of the elements. So if you're thinking about storage, you may want to do the same. It's really as easy as chopping off the tongue here and just customizing it so it's a little bit different. Important to know, weight distribution is really critical on these things. When you're deciding how to build or where to mount your gear. I will cut to that video now and what that looks like from a driver's perspective when trying to recover a vehicle that has out of control. Moral of the story is make sure to push the laser and gear as far forward toward the back of the vehicle, because if not, the chances of going out of control increase and being unable to essentially recover from an out of control situation decrease. So very, very important. You can't stress it enough. Put all the weight towards the front of the trailer and the back of the car. We have a 50 pounds and has a load capacity of 1,200 pounds. The Laser weighs about 130 pounds, so that leaves plenty of additional add-ons or mods for storage. These are selling online right now for roughly $1,000 to $1,500, whether it's used or new. Tube mounts. This is essentially just a conduit PVC pipe and mounting kit with end caps. It's a great way to keep all your spares in one place, protected and out of the way. I went with an 8-inch PVC pipe, that way you could fit all your spares. Also highly recommend you get a spare bag for your mast, boom, and upper so they don't get banged around in there. I also highly recommend you get a lock. Sometimes you go to these events and they're not in the nicest areas, so it's always nice to have a lock and have it protected and know that if you walk away, nothing's going to get stolen in there. I'll usually carry 2 sets of everything, so I'll have 2 booms, 2 uppers, and then a lower full rig and a lower radial. Something also worth mentioning is the dynamic dolly and how you can carry that. What's really nice about these is you can actually remove the tires if you want. Just a little clip, push that down, clip comes up, tires slide out, and then the same goes for that long bar underneath that will actually break apart and condense down. So if you really needed to put this in your car, you could. But I actually just store it right on top of the boat, which is really, really nice. It's all put together, that way it makes it easy for you know, launching and getting the boat back on the trailer and getting out of there. Covers are used to protect both bottom and top from rocks or other flying debris on the road. Very, very important. Just make sure you tuck the top cover inside the bottom cover. That way if it rains, the water's not going to collect under the cover. Whatever type of trailer you go for, that you get a lock for it. This is the one that I found to be kind of the best, where you know they can't even open this to get it out, and it's locked in. This is from Master Lock, and I'll put the links in the description below. Now with that said, I would also invest in a lock for your hitch as well, because it's just as easy to come up and pull your hitch pin out and then take your hitch off and then take the trailer with that. So highly recommend you get a lock for your hitch. This again is Master Lock, and I'll put the link in the description below. Let's talk maintenance a little bit. I know you could just drop this baby off at a trailer place for $100 and get it serviced once a year, or you could, you know, just get a grease gun and grease it yourself. I went ahead and got the bearing buddies for this particular trailer for easy greasing and of the bearings and caps, and add new grease seals. Essentially all you need to do is add new grease 2 or 3 times a year, depending on how much you actually use the trailer.
Now when it comes to regattas, most venues will have a place for you to put your trailer when you get there. So when you arrive at the regatta venue, you're able to decouple the trailer, offload your boat, and not have to worry about driving around with your trailer the rest of the weekend. While using a trailer is not exactly fast or convenient, it is extremely reliable and great for additional storage space for your spare spars and dolly.
Your tubes for all your spars. This is really smart. He's got 3 right here, leaving himself plenty of room. They've actually put locks on them too, which is really smart, because you never know. Some of these places you go into are this one's really cool. This one's actually, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 lasers with 2 tubes, and then a spot for a kind of a coach boat in the middle, like this one. This one's really cool too. So this is perfect. This is ideal. This is something that I would do. Strong welding laser. You've got 2 tubes, and then you've got the coach boat in the middle.
Now when it comes to recreational launch areas, there are so many beautiful beaches to launch your sailboat, especially in Florida. But most counties and state park beaches do not want you parking a trailer there. So putting it on top gives you access to areas you otherwise would not be able to get to, which is a huge plus. I hope this video helped you decide what type of laser or dinghy trailer to purchase and the pros and cons with each. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see you on the
working on some things we found out yesterday. So I went ahead and ordered a Rooster tiller and tiller extension, and the problem is it's too long. Okay, so I took it out racing yesterday, spoke with their customer service department. He said essentially find out where the best kind of place is that you like, and then you can go ahead and cut the carbon from there. So this is essentially a DIY project, which is kind of nice because I can customize it exactly for me out there. So yesterday I went out, as you see in the video, and found where I needed to be, and essentially I counted 7 stripes in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna essentially chop right about there. That's about 9.5 inches. But we're not going to cut this side, we're actually going to cut this side. So I'm going to measure 9 inches from here, cut it off, and then go ahead and re-drill the hole for the bushing, which essentially is for this. And then the other thing he recommended was to detach these after your races, because what ends up happening is this will, so you can already see it's starting to bend. I've had it for maybe 3 days, and it starts to bend in a way that sits back here. So if you accidentally drop this, it's going to go swinging backwards, and you're going to have to reach back and grab it, and it becomes a lot harder. Whereas if you detach it, it'll end up swing. If you drop it, it'll just swing in your lap and just drop right in your lap. So anyways, nice little tidbit, but really nice carbon fiber tiller and extension, both bought from Rooster over in the UK, but a lot of dealers will carry them anywhere. They do measure out 3 different diameters for your hand. This is the one kind of right in the middle. I think it's 22, but I'm not sure. It's the middle one. Some people like the really small one because then they can grip the sheet easier. Kind of depends on the size of your hand, really, from what I hear. So anyways, a lot of Olympic guys, my height, size, width, all that, all use this middle one. So I ended up getting this one. So I'll give it a go for a season, see how I like it. They're kind of expensive. They're like 160 bucks. This is like 150 bucks, so about $300 just to get a new steering wheel, right? So it'd be nice to be able to go out and try different ones and figure out which one you like the best before buying it. But I don't have that kind of money sitting around, so we'll check this out. I'm going to go ahead, and I wanted to show you guys this so that way you can do it yourself, and you don't have to go through all the headaches and hiccups that I went through in trying to figure out who to speak to, what to get. I'm going to log the video in the description below, and that way you guys can kind of go right to the description that changes out the bushing, because I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to end up doing here, guys, is just sawing this with a hacksaw. That's all you're going to need, and a re-drill the hole for the bushing to go in at that 9.5 inches or 10 inches where you want to go. Just remember, you can always cut more. You can't go backwards. So just take it easy. I thought I needed 10. I'm going to do 9.5. I'm going to do 9. And then later, if I feel when I'm racing I need a little bit more, I can always come back and do that. So not the end of the world. Here's a little hole we have to drill from the old hole. And then, yeah, we're going to get busy. Let's do it. All right, so we've measured out. Essentially, it's 8 knobs from when I was out in the water yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So roughly the ball's going to go, or 7, sorry, and roughly the ball's going to go here. So let's go ahead and cut at the 7 mark, which really will put us at kind of 9 all day, because that's where we want to make the cut. Actually, I curve it in, bring it right to that line. I know it's right at that hole. So we're at 9 right there. That's how much we're coming off. And just make sure with the hacksaw you go straight, and you should probably be able to do it. Just keep it in the middle. Okay, and I would keep this, I don't know, pretty expensive stuff, carbon fiber, so super light, probably make a mount or something out of it. But there you have it. Not the straightest cut. It's actually off to the side just a bit, so I may go ahead and take a big sand file and file this down. Yeah, if you have one of these, they're pretty handy. I use this thing all the time, man. I kind of bought it randomly. Usually you buy things when you need them, and I found out later I needed this a lot. So yeah, it's almost not worth recutting because it's such a tiny thing. So that'll work. All right, next thing we got to do is drill this hole essentially for the bushing. We know it's about quarter way in. Get a tiny one. Remember, you can always go bigger later, but you can't go backwards once you're too big. You don't want it too big, because then the bushing won't hold properly. So that's like perfect. Maybe one more up. Yeah, that's perfect. That literally is perfect. I think we found her. Just take the old hole and put it in. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that as far as a matchup. So the other thing I think we need to do, make sure, so there's a sleeve on the outside of this bushing, and that actually will move. I centered it up with the new one, kept it just as if, and then slowly took it off. That way I know it's where it should be, and then I left it there. But when you take the whole thing off, after you get done racing, you take this whole thing off. So we're going to go ahead and slide this sleeve in. Yeah, I think that's good. I think we just drilled the new bushing where this hole is. So let's figure that one out for a second. How are we going to get into that same hole, you know? Yeah, I guess you could just do that. Just drill an entirely new hole in the bushing sleeve. Don't worry about that, because how else are you going to get it perfectly lined up? I mean, you could try, but you're never really going to know, and then you don't want to double like a miss, and now you have a twice big hole. So you may as well just turn that thing like so, slide it in. And what's also really useful to have is this screw, so you know how much you're going to drill through, right? You don't want to do too much. So roughly we're going to go to that second line on the drill, because that's going to be our bushing screw. Alright, just electric drill. Get your drill bit that fit. Remember, we went through the bushing to see how it's perfect, so we're going to use this one. Just electric drill. They say compact high. We looked at the other carbon tube. We're going to go right here. We're going to call it right here. Always go slow, and then kind of work your way up there. Get your little pilot hole going. Make sure you're straight as well. It made its way through. Cool. Awesome. So
I guess all we need to do now is drill through that bushing. And I don't even know if we want to drill through that bushing. I don't know if we want to drill through that bushing for the simple fact of we can let the screw do it, right? You kind of want this to settle it. We have our pilot, so maybe that'll work. But maybe I'll give it just a little pilot hole to work with in the bushing. And that's it. Now we're gonna go screw time. Pilot hole, pilot hole. Now we just have to match up and go for gold. Probably should take this out of this casing, to be honest with you, because we're going to do that anyways. So let's just go ahead and do that. Maybe we can show you how that's done. I think it's just a easy pop off. Remember, it's carbon, so be gentle. Don't force it. There you go. Once one side comes up, usually the other side will as well. And then you just actually push it out the this side. See how it comes out? So it just comes out. Boop. So that's easy. And again, I would store it like this alone, not inside, because look, this is brand new and it's already bending. Or store it to where it bends in one direction, and then when you go to race, flip it around. So here we go. Let's try to drill in this bushing. You just want to line up the hole. Get to the end and just starts to take hold. Go ahead and ease off the electric and grab a regular Phillips. And then go ahead and tighten the end. I wouldn't over tighten this. I mean, make sure it's in there, but I would just do it by hand. Take it easy. These are carbon pipes, so you don't want to bruise them or put more stress on it, or strip the hole. Then you got to make another hole, seal that hole. That would not be fun. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We now have our new customized tiller extension and tiller. That's exciting. And again, I would hold on to this too. You might be able to make a cool mount with it or something. Super light, super strong. So I don't know, nice little camera mount or something. What do you think? All right, guys, I'll see you on the little project that's waiting for us this morning. I went ahead and prepped last night. This is for a rudder and centerboard restoration for a laser sailboat. Just purchased one down in the Keys. It's an older model, 2002, so what we wanted to do was essentially restore her to as new as we could get it. And I've got it just here behind you. But today we're working on the boards. All of this stuff will provide product links down in the description. One of the things that we've done actually is sanded the board down, kind of a preliminary sand, nothing too heavy, just to see what needs attention, right, and some fiberglass reinforcing. So down here in the tips, I've already sanded off where it needs the attention. There were about 3 cracks in the centerboard. So what I did yesterday was essentially sand it down with a filing tool, big long one. Got it at Home Depot, I think, or Lowe's, Ace Hardware. Those are the big ones down here in Florida anyways. I used that and I sanded it down to a flat edge. And hopefully you guys are seeing that clearly. We had 1, 2, and 3, and 4 for the tip. And the reason we did that is so we could put veneer pins in them, right? So depending on the width and area of the damage, we'll decide on how many pins you need. And these are a basic 15mm veneer pins. I got about 75 of them, very lightweight. That is what I used to hammer in each of these guys, right? And you just take a needle nose plier to the end so you can actually grasp, that while you just hammer in the top, nothing crazy. And you want to make them such that it's actually straight across the top, right? All you're doing is essentially reinforcing the area in which we're going to fix. And then I don't know if you can notice, however, it does dip in right here, so we're going to do a little extra epoxy or resin here as well, just to add some edge to it and make it, you know, flat all the way across, because as you can see, we're missing a big chunk. And then obviously the tip, these are very, very common for these centerboard, this repair. So let's talk a little bit about what we're using for this project. So first and foremost, clamps. We're going to be using these. You probably only need 2 or 3, depending on how many you have as far as the restoration. The other thing you need is some wide masking tape. This is probably sufficient, 1.5 to 2 inches, something like that. I was running out, so I grabbed some green, which is probably, it's like painter's tape. It's probably good. The other thing you need, some scissors. We talked about the veneer pins, paintbrush, mixing stick, mixing bowls. All of this stuff was bought on West Marine, and all of it West Marine price matches, which is really nice. So if you can find it ahead of time, walk in there prepared, and you can save a lot of money. The actual fiberglass we're going to be using today is also a West Marine fiberglass mat. This is a heavyweight 1.5 ounce, 42 gram mat. This is used with all marine resins. 38 by 34. I've been using this about 1.5 years. I haven't gone through this stuff. It's no joke. It's pretty expensive. It's about $60, I think, $70 depending. You can't price match it because it's a West Marine product, so it is what it is. But I'm sure you can find it somewhere else if you really wanted to keep digging. Rubber gloves. I'd also cut out some bits of cardboard, because what we're going to do is for the damaged areas, we're going to tape this across for support, and that way it has something nice to be able to rest upon, and then later we'll just peel it off the masking tape. We'll show you that. I do have some goggles just to protect, guys. Very, very important. This stuff is very, very toxic. You don't want this on your skin. You don't want to be breathing it in. You don't want it in your eyes. So make sure you're buttoned up. Gloves. And goggles. We live in Florida, so it's super sunny outside. Today it's a bit overcast, so I probably won't need these, but I use these outside a lot. And they're actually protected from vapors as well, so they can't get in here, which is what you want for this stuff, especially for the filler, because it's like a powdery substance, and when you start mixing it, it just kind of comes up out of the cup, and you can like breathe that shit in, and it's not good for you. So don't test it. You know, it's not good. So we'll be wearing those later as well. 202 solvent is actually going to be used to clean our project before we go ahead and do the epoxy resins. You want to get all of them. It actually removes moisture, any oils or you know, dirt deposits or buildup while you're working on the project. So it gives you a nice project to start with. 105 epoxy resin and 205 fast hardener. They go hand in hand, catalyst to hard finished product. The other thing, very, very important, guys, respirator. I can't stress it enough. Super, super toxic. So if for nothing else, have a mask, gloves, and something to protect your eyes.
Nice and tight, and then cover. I can barely suck in, and that's what you want. So.
And there is an expiration date on these two, guys. You can't just use them and reuse them, but it just depends on how long you use them. There's a kind of an in-service date. I do highly recommend that if you guys get like like coveralls, any sort of fiberglass, so it doesn't get in on your skin or clothes, and then a spray smock, so it's essentially protecting your head, hair, ears, getting in anywhere, right? Even if you do it with clothes on, you don't have this stuff and you can't go get it. It's so cheap, it's $10, but even if you can't get it, you know, wear a long sleeve shirt, and then when you're done, make sure you flip it inside out and you get it off your body, and go try to wash it and spray it with a hose, because it's no joke. So, oh, and I forgot to mention, I did use 100 grit sanding paper for sanding. As you can see, it works really well. I'm actually going to go back over it with the orbital sander and see if we can get through more of this paint, because we want to make sure that when we repaint it, there's nothing else there, and actually the new paint will stick, the primer and then paint. And then this is the 100 grit sandpaper I use for it. Oh, and one last thing here, guys. I pulled these stoppers out of the centerboard. So, oh yeah, it was just a screw. You just unscrew it. If you have the old one, you unscrew it, if you're wondering. by the way, because I was trying to force it out. I was like, oh yeah, you just unscrew it. And then something you might want to go ahead and buy ahead of time are some new laser stoppers. Alright guys, so here's our fiberglass mat. I mean, you can feel the thickness and strength in this stuff. What we're going to be doing is essentially cutting about 3 individual layers for each project. Essentially what we'll do is cut out the first project template. Use our scissors here. An edge piece. We'll cut a big piece and then 2 little pieces. So let's do the first one, which is essentially a straight. And I always like to cut a bigger template than what I think it's going to be. And then I'll go over it. I'll compare it to what I'm working with. As you see, it's much bigger than what we need it to be, so I need roughly that. So we'll cut it to about there. Remember, you can always keep going, but you can't go backwards. So take your time, keep cutting, and you want it to sit inside there, inside your project, right? So a little bit more. I think the distance is good. Yep, a little more. And again, I like these frayed edges. That's good. That's what you want. So that's good. That might be a great little kind of template. So I'll line this piece up right here, and then I'll cut about 3 more, giving us a total of 4, 2 on each side. I think that should be suffice. 2 more. See how easy this is? Once you get your template going, you can just cut your glass no problem. So that's probably good to go. So we have 2, and you'll feel it too once you lay it in there, whether or not it's going to be enough. You always want to go more than you think, because you can always sand it down. But if you find yourself with a big kind of envelopment or a droop, you can't, and then you have to re-sand it and start over. So more is better. Moral of the story. Alright, I think we're in a good spot. We have 2, 4 templates, and we can put 2 either side, and that way we should have enough. Now if you'll notice, I actually left a nice you know, 1/2 inch or so off the blade. So essentially what you're looking there is you're going to be able to cut that off with a hacksaw later when it dries, and you're going to be able to fine tune it and sand it for a nice sharp blade. So you do want more. Again, more is good. You can always sand it down. So great, we have our template there. I think we can call it a day for that project. We have 3 more to go. 1, 2, 3. And I'll be using these guys to make those. It's a great little one right there. Okay, I think we're good to go. We have all of our kind of templates cut out. Actually, we have the tip here. I have roughly 2 and 2, right? 2 and 2. So 2 on that side, 2 on this side. And again, we want to overextend it so it goes up and above the tip. So that's always good, because we can shave it back, sand it back. I actually cut 2 little small strips as well. I only did 1 and 1 on each side because I don't see it needing that much reinforcement. All we want is to kind of reshape that edge. Frankly, I like to do it for the whole side, but it's actually not that bad. It's just these areas. So we'll do 1 on that side, 1 on the other side. Same here, 2 and 2, and same here, 2 and 2. So I think we're ready. We have sanded our board. We have enough kind of fiberglass showing to adhere to on all of our projects, right? And then we've cut all of our templates. So the first thing we want to do now is go ahead and start mixing our epoxies and resins. Bit of 202 solvent. We just want to clean up the work area, make sure that it is spotless and it's ready for adhesion of fiberglass, right? So This does remove moisture, which is what anybody should be worrying about when they're doing fiberglass work.
We're ready to go here as far as taping. We've cleaned up our project, we've cut our templates, we have our tape. We're going to go ahead and start taping it. I'm going to tape these two together as one project because of the cardboard that I have. We are in business. I would like to push down the tape a little bit and I just slide it in. And you'll see it start to overlap on the other side. I'll use that one as the base layer now so it slides in a little easier. And I'll just kind of tuck it in there if it needs a little help. Remember, we do want it to hang out just a bit from the outside because we want to be able to shape it later.
Probably 2-3 pumps on each. We'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stir really, really well. Get up all the edges with it. It won't harden if you don't.
We'll go through. Remember, this stuff's hardening as we speak, so no time to dilly-dally. Let's get it done. Squirt or pump less and it still hasn't hardened, so just goes to show you, man, if you just get a smaller batch you got a little bit more time. The more you have, the less time you have.
Vertical. It's the last thing. Don't lie them flat because you want them to essentially dry in a position that's equal and even so we can shape the board from either side and it's not bigger or smaller on either side. Alright, so we'll let that sit. We'll kind of keep an eye on it. You know, it's not the end of the world if we find little bits and pieces where we missed or, you know, we need to add another layer of glass. Alright, so what you want to do is take a blade and cut straight through. I purchased a hacksaw and then I just took the blade out of that hacksaw. But I imagine if I needed replacements I could definitely buy more. But you really just want to go even or parallel with
the actual line. I try to go a little bit above, and that way you can sand it down and still match. I also have a 100 grit and 150 grit. Right now there's 100 on there. Come on, guys. We are day 3 of project. Just getting everything set up for us, so you guys don't have to wait around for that. I think we're good. Set up out here on the lawn today because it was a lot of sanding and chemicals going on, and I don't want to get that in the house. Well, we sanded, laid glass and sanded. We're moving on to filler. We have a 404 high density adhesive filler. He's still using the 105 and 205 fast hardener. We laid the glass and then just kind of sanded it down to as close as we can to the edge. Now there's still some gaps that chipped away, and there's like a little void in between here that's never good. So I'm gonna just fill that with high density filler, and we're gonna move on with this project. Also did the tip, came out pretty good, so we'll continue to sand that as well. Also have the centerboard over here.
And when you add that additive, it actually gives it, you know, density. It's actually a structural as well, so you could stand on this and not break it. So you have your mask and your goggles on. You don't want to get this stuff in. Taper up. And any on the board, just pull them off, man.
Alright, you guys, that's about it. Just finished spray painting, did about 2 or 3 coats on each side. So if you notice, some of the paint's already coming off. We used the Krylon Supermax primer plus paint all in one. We got about 4 cans of it, and went through it no problem, making sure that you read the directions on the Krylon, because you'll start to get some paint issues. But these are great club, I think, blades. Now we'll be able to use these as practice. There's a stark contrast between these and the race blades, but I think it came out pretty good considering how bad they were. Here's the other one here. This is the Rudder. And you can see where kind of the repair was made. Went ahead and put in the rudder bolt and the tiller extension cord. So essentially all you need is the rudder stock to go on, but it's a nice backup blade if anything happens to my regular blades. Essentially 2 to 3 coats of Krylon Supermax, let it dry overnight. It's 24-hour dry time. And that's it. I also needed covers for these. I have a nice kind of cover bag for the new blades, but not the old ones. So I went ahead and sewed this. Just went to your local fabric store. Essentially came in and hemmed in a little zipper all the way around. And it's great. Kind of slides right in. Do one for the rudder as well. But if you don't want to spend another $100 on rudder and blade covers, just go sew yourself some. All you need is a sewing kit. Yeah, and there you have it. Nice little cover. Same with the rudder. There you go. Project complete. Alright, so now we just want to take her out. Let's go have some fun.